everybody, welcome back to another session of the Hopry. My name is Mark Starr and today is Wednesday. So we're going to be looking at part 2 in our 3-part series of Kuhnhenn Brewing Company. As I mentioned on Monday, they are out of Warren, Michigan. And the 3 beers that I'm going to be sharing with you this week all come in at pretty high ABVs. Now this one is no exception. This is their Olde Brune, which is a sour cherry beer, and it clocks in right at 11.5%. So, that should give you a pretty good sign of how strong the Kuhnhenn brothers make their beers. But anyway, let's go ahead and get it pouring here and see what we got going on. All right, man. I'm gonna bust a cap on this one. I don't think I've busted a cap on the show in quite a while. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. And this one's from 2010, by the way. Just wanted to point that out. So this hasn't been aging for very long, obviously. And one of the things that I like about this brewery too, while I'm looking at the label here, is that they really have this sort of do-it-yourself aesthetic. All the labels look like they were made, in-house. The artwork looks like it was done in-house. I really kind of like that aesthetic. It really, I guess, highlights the American craft beer movement and how you really can make beer in smaller batches. Put a lot of love and time into not only the beer itself, but the packaging and how you sell it. Now, I will tell you again, like I told you on Monday, their beers are pretty hard to get. If I didn't have a good friend of mine go up there to visit the brewery, I probably wouldn't be sharing these beers with you this week. So if you're able to get some in a trade, great. If not, well, I don't know what else to say. But so again, 11.5%. I'm actually getting a little bit ahead off of this one. From what I've read and doing my research on this, a lot of people have said there's not a whole great deal of head. I can tell you that what was poured in here, is kind of it's a tan color. Really, it's kind of dissipating quickly, if you will. Now the color on this one kind of looks like I guess like a cherry Dr. Pepper. It's got kind of a cola look to it. There is some ruby red color in there, but also has a lot of that, prunes and dates and fig coloring that I talk about in a lot of like the Abbey style beers. So I'm going to go ahead and smell this one. Yeah, it's definitely got that smell. It's got that Belgian, Olde Brune smell. I do get a lot of those sour cherries in there. It smells a lot like you would hope it would smell like. Kind of reminds me of a cherry Tootsie Pop as well. So I'm getting that smell that you would get from like maybe a Tootsie Roll. So it's a bit of a, kind of a musty, chocolatey sort of smell. Really that's kind of covered by that sour cherry component. So really reminding me a lot of a Tootsie Pop. Maybe some caramel in there. Again, just a slight amount of funk or cave smell, if you will. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and taste this one. I'm really kind of intrigued by the nose on it. Really liking what it's got to offer so far. Nice. So there is a tartness in there, and it doesn't go too far. It really is kind of a more intense version of the nose. So it tastes like the nose smells, but much more intense. So when you take that first sip, you really get that rush of tartness right off the bat. And then kind of in the mid palate, that's where you really kind of pick up the bitterness. It's not a hop sort of bitterness. It's more of like an astringent bitterness, something that I find that I really like in sour beers. I think it kind of helps, cut that initial tartness. It keeps it from being too tart. You know, you think of something like the New Belgian La Folie, and that thing is just 100% tart. And that's just a little bit too much for me. I like something underneath that tartness, you know, to kind of give me some more interesting flavors. I really like this one a lot. I really do. You know, again, it's not one-dimensional. It's actually quite, you know, complex for a sour beer that's at 11%. I would have thought that at 11%, a sour beer would have been, you know, maybe too cloying. You know, I'm always afraid that the higher you go on the alcohol scale, the more you're going to get a lot of sweetness. And from the little bit of experience that I've had from Kuhnhenn, they really kind of push the boundary of maybe even going a little too sweet, but it's almost like they're able to just, you know, pull back right at that last minute so that it never gets too sweet, it never gets too sour, it never gets too bitter. And this one really kind of marries those three together perfectly. I'm really liking this one a lot. It reminds me a lot of the Duchess de Bourgogne, but where that one is, you know, more of like a, I think I remember saying it was kind of like a red wine vinaigrette. This one's not as tart. You know, again, the sweetness and the bitterness really just makes this a really rounded beer. This is a great beer. Now when you pour these, you don't really have to do them that gently. As you can see, it doesn't really get a whole lot of head on there, so you can open it and just pour it in pretty hard. But yeah, all in all, I really like this beer. I would highly recommend, if you're somebody who does like the Flanders Old Brunes, the Flemish Reds, you know, beers of that style, I think you're really going to like this one. This would even be something that you could probably share with a friend of yours. You know, they come in these little 12-ounce bottles, and you know, I don't think it's too much to drink by yourself, but I do think it's good to, you know, kind of have a buddy over, or even your wife or girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, and share one of these beers. So, well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this session. On Friday, we are going to come back, and we're going to be drinking the Fourth Dementia, which is an old ale. Really looking forward to that one as well. And so far, liking all the Kuhnhenn beers that we've shared this week. So anyway, if you're following me on Twitter, you can go to twitter.com/the Hopry. I always appreciate it if you go to my website, thehopry.com. Leave your comments there, and we have good conversations going on. You know, you can always ask a question. You can make a comment about this brewery. So why don't I make that a question for you guys today? Is anybody watching this a fan of Kuhnhenn? What do you know about Kuhnhenn? Have you ever been there? Have you ever had their beers? Why don't you just share your experience with Kuhnhenn with the rest of us, and we'll leave it at that. All right, guys. Well, my name is Mark Starr. Thanks a lot for coming back. We'll see you on Friday. Cheers.